Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nora, and on today's video we are going to be building a fall themed cafe and pumpkin patch on Palia. Now before we get started, I want to disclaim I did have some resolution issues, so some areas of my footage may be a little bit pixelated and fuzzy. Sadly, I was not aware of this issue until later in my video, so I do get this resolved and fixed. So we're going to have to talk and explain a little bit more than usual in this video just because I did have to cut out quite a bit of footage. So as you can see, to start off our build, we are using 2 wall pieces connected on top of each other, and this will be 4 total on each side of the build. And then I use 4 of the square building blocks as a base on the very bottom below the trellis item. Next, I went ahead and put in some industrial shelves inside of the trellis and as well at the edge of the blocks to create a dining-like space. For the next stage of our build, we're going to be using the gourmet bowl glitch trick, and I have a full in-depth video on this that I'll link in the description and in my pinned comment if you need extra steps on how to do this. I will also have Nintendo Switch directions if you need a little bit more in-depth help on how to do the multi-select glitch. Basically, we are going to be multi-selecting the bowl on top of the cabinet, and this is going to remove collision between the items in a short summary. This is also how I create these steps with the industrial shelves for the staircase area. We have done this glitch multiple times on my channel. I use it quite often, so we also have done it on live streams too to create an attic space on one of my coastal streams. So if you do need some extra help, I will have these videos linked for you. I know that this can be kind of confusing to do at first, but trust me, it is super easy and Nintendo Switch friendly. Sadly, because of that resolution issue with my footage, that's why I'm referring these videos to y'all, just because I had to edit this footage out since it was getting really pixelated. For the spiral staircase, I stacked 4 more industrial shelves on top of each other so I can connect that final spot on top where the angle starts to form, and then I used 2 of the square building blocks at the base, and this is where we're going to connect our other building blocks. But before I finish the rest of the base over here, we're going to work on our railing, and this is going to be using the wood pillars and also these wooden pavers. And I'm going to glitch the second paver into each other by using the gourmet bowl trick. That way it can slide right into the other paver and make a flawless looking railing. I also go more in depth in this trick on one of my older cafe-like builds, so if you want extra help and steps on how to do this, that video will also be linked for you. So also I did want to add for this build today, we are going to be using 2 pavilions. They are my favorite space to do cafe builds in. I just feel like it allows me to get really creative with the layouts. However, if you want to skip on using pavilions, I did test out that this build looks great inside of a harvest house too, so definitely do any adjustments for your own personal taste. If you are also somebody wanting some harvest house inspiration, I am planning to do a overgrown cafe build in the future, and this will also have a functional cooking area for cooking parties. Now that we have the railing done and we also slid in some of the building blocks using the gourmet bowl trick, we're going to go ahead and finish up the base of this location over here. I'm going to free float 2 tiles that are glitched into each other so I can finish up this transition spot. If you use the grid, it's going to appear red for you, so make sure that you are free floating this tile. Then I'm going to go ahead and create a additional rail over here on the side, along where I also built a second staircase using the bowl trick and industrial shelves. For this location over here, this is where I'm also going to be building our pumpkin patch, so it's going to serve as a transition over there. I would also love to create a new barn over here in a future live stream, so stay tuned for that content as well. And then eventually we're also going to be placing, which is optional, a harvest house at the end of these pavilions. Not only do I feel like it adds a nice pop of color using the wallpaper behind the cafe bar that we're going to be building, but also I want this to transition into a functional cooking party spot. For the base of our cafe, this will be inspired by my friend Emma, and I'll have her linked in the video's description. And then for the rooftop, I actually took inspiration from our shipping container video. I just felt like personally that this rooftop style really complemented the build that we're doing, so that's why I chose to go with this look, but you can definitely do any type of rooftop that you choose. So behind our cafe, I really want to do a built-in like kitchen area, so I will be using the stone blocks for this, but if you wanted to use wood ones, you definitely could. And we're going to do 3 blocks stacked on top of each other on each side. But I do actually make a minor adjustment to this by pushing the stacked blocks back just a little bit. That way I can stack the 3rd building block on top of them. So that's what we're doing right here, so we can be able to place this without any red issues. So like earlier, the gourmet bowl trick is going to be our best friend for this spot too. I swear we are using the gourmet bowl so often throughout this video, but it really just helps when you're trying to do these type of builds like we're working on today, and that is going to help me slide in this middle paver. As you can see, it is red, so I am going to place my gourmet bowl on top of the wood plank paver and then multi-select it so I can slide it into the other pavers. So for our pumpkin patch, which is the next stage of the build since I finished up the kitchen area, we're going to go ahead and sink this capital sheet counter into the ground. Basically, what you're going to need to do is have your industrial shelf on the wall pieces, and then you're going to place your paver on top of it. Next, you're going to grab the paver, but cancel the placement with an item in your hotbar, which is going to be essentially ghosting this paver. And then we're going to place the capital sheet counter on top of the paver, and then select the paver underneath the capital sheet counter, and this is going to allow me to pick up the paver with the item on top of it, and once we move it, it's going to sink the item into the ground. So again, placing my paver on the shelf and then moving it and canceling it with an item, multi-selecting the gourmet bowl on top of the counter, placing the counter on top of the paver, and then selecting the paver underneath the item, and then that's going to let us sink the item into the ground. So that is how I managed to create this dirt way. If you wanted to go with an easier solution, I would suggest using the Kilima rugs, as they're a really dark red-brown color, but I just think that this looks really cool, especially all together with the grass coming through. It just looks like dirt and so much more realistic. I did notice though through the process of this, the glitch is kind of finicky to do, so I had spots where the paver wouldn't go underneath of the capital sheet counter, so I did have to do multiple tries to get it to look like this. So just know that if your paver goes off to the side, that is completely normal. There's been cases where I haven't gotten the glitch to work properly and that the paver just had to be on the outside. But to hide this, you could put a pumpkin on top of it or even a bush. I've done that so many times when I couldn't get it to sink directly underneath an item, but for the most part, it usually works like you're seeing right now. Now, it's obviously not seen in this footage, but my plan for this location is to build a barn directly in front of the pumpkin patch. So we'll tackle this, like I mentioned earlier, on a future live stream. And then I want this to transition to the harvest house that is behind our main cafe area, and that is going to serve as a functional cooking party location. So now I'm just going to go ahead and detail our pumpkin patch area a little bit. I really want to place these pumpkins randomly just so it looks a little bit more natural. I don't want it to be in a straight line. I just really want this pumpkin patch to be very rustic and natural looking. Eventually, I am planning to do a dedicated pumpkin carving area over here because I think it'd be a great addition to our pumpkin patch. I just didn't have time for it in today's video, but I do think it would be a great addition. So for now, I did a small area like that in front of our cafe. Anyways, here's how our fall themed cafe turned out. I am really excited about this build. We still have a lot of detailing to do, but I think it's off to a great start, and I hope that today's video brought you some much needed inspiration. If you have any fun ideas to add to our fall festival plot today, let me know in the comment section below. Maybe we can tackle this on a future video or live stream. Before today's video ends, I also want to give a huge shout out to all of my channel members. Thank you so much for supporting me as a creator. Just your support in general means the world to me. Thanks again for watching and have a horrible day. I'll see you next video.